Hi, I'm Christopher Warnock of Renaissance Astrology, and today I'm going to talk about astrological magic devotional practices in general, and I'm going to focus on a Nenju or malas. So, we talk about devotional practice. I think this is something new for a lot of people. There's sort of a continuum if you think of the sort of broad, way you can do astrological magic. You can do magic, which is really focused on causing effects. I think that's a classic formulation of will, action or will or whatever. Is very much magical. And then devotional is fostering a relationship with celestial angels or spirits in terms of astrological magic. But these really are on a continuum. I mean, it's very easy for you to say, oh, devotional is good and magic's bad. I don't think that's true at all. Really, there's, like I said, a continuum. I mean, if you're doing magic for wisdom, I mean, that seems like a real, that's getting a specific effect, but it's a spiritual effect. If you're doing a prayer, or devotional practice to avoid disaster, you're asking for something specific, but maybe you're trying to help somebody, cure somebody. That also seems like very positive. And again, in a prayer setting, you can imagine someone going to church and doing a novena, and asking that somebody recover from cancer or disaster or something like that. So these blend together. And again, once it's not good or bad to do one. It really depends on what what your focus is. I think though vast majority of what's out there in terms of esoteric stuff is how can I get what I want, and how can I use this to get what I want very directly. And that's the whole purpose. If it doesn't get me what I want immediately, then it's useless. And that's I would say that's a magical focus. Again, nothing wrong with that. But what I'm trying to put out there is that there is an alternative approach. And if that alternative approach resonates for you, great. If not, again, there's nothing wrong with a magical approach. The devotional practice of astrological magic really flows from the fact that, for me personally, this is kind of something I was led to. Comes from only working with celestial angels and archangels. These are very positive, benign beings. If you're going to do this type of practice, a devotional practice, you're not going to be able to do evil stuff. You're not going to be able to be, completely selfish. It doesn't entirely mean that you're just, selfless either. You don't have to be a doormat. But again, it's going to be focused on positive, benefic effects, and your whole approach is going to go that way. The other thing about celestial angels and archangels is that these are beings that are way too powerful to just simply command. The spirit, the soul of Jupiter, for example, is way beyond my power as a human being to command. And if I'm able to command something, then it's obviously going to be weaker than I am, which should be pretty weak ass in terms of the power. In other words, you can't command them, you can't bind them, and also these are not the kind of beings that you make deals with. Okay, so essentially, in this approach, you're treating them like Catholic saints or angels. You're venerating them, you're giving them honor and respect. You enjoy the contact. That contract is transformative. Again, a lot of times, if you think about love, very much people come and say, "I want this person to be in love with me." Okay, there's a certain level of compulsion about that. If you think about it, I mean, if the person doesn't want to love you, but the magic makes them love you, that seems to be overpowering their will. It's also very much this idea that the outside world is what needs to change. I have my desires, and really the outside world should conform to me. And another approach to take with love would be to invoke Venus and then have a transformative effect so you are a more loving person, so you're more capable of love. And then you're going to be more able to find love in the first place. Now that seems like slow, and I don't want to do that. Okay, fine. You might find though that it's more effective in the long run. I mean, that's what I would say about it. Is if you think about like a friendship, certainly from the standpoint of material help, I mean, you can get a lot of help from your friends. But if the only purpose you have of being in that friendship is to get stuff, and you're very focused on getting stuff, and that's all you care about, and that's all you do, you're not going to be a very good friend, and you're not going to get much back. That's not going to be effective for you in that friendship. However, if you're a little more selfless and a little more willing to help people, a little more trusting of them, at least you find the right people too, you can get incredible benefits from a friendship. And that's what I would say about the celestial spirits, is that, really, if you show them respect, if you don't insist on having things definitely your way, you still can do I mean, I have had this very nice middle class existence, basically from astrological magic and astrology, and from using a devotional approach. I don't bind any spirits or command them or anything, but nevertheless, I do have this, I've had a lot of positive material effects as far as I can see. And again, maybe not directly. Like I say, okay, I do a consecration. I want $5,338 by Tuesday, and then yeah, I got $5,338 by Tuesday, but in a more general way. And the problem with that specific stuff, I mean, there's a classic story, internet magician. He invoked a goetic spirit, Paimon, who's good for wealth, wanted a specific sum of money. Then his house burned down, and he got a check for that specific money for his house burning down. So again, this is the kind of problem you can get into with the anything other than the angels, is that they'll play tricks with you, they'll mess with you. Maybe you can't trust them, maybe they don't keep their deal. Certainly when you do the invocation of them, you have to protect yourself. You got to wear lamens and stuff and have magic circles because they're dangerous. None of that's necessary with angels. I mean, if you think about it, you go to church and do a novena, you don't have to worry about protecting yourself. You also don't have to worry about blowback. I mean, you don't have to worry about making a mistake. It's like, oh, again, I made a novena, I left out a word. Okay, Our Lady of Guadalupe is going to destroy me because of that. I mean, again, this is not how it works. I mean, you don't want to be disrespectful, but again, there's not as if you make one mistake and you're going to get blasted by the celestial angels. So again, I find myself increasingly drawn to sort of a Catholic approach in terms of how I deal with this. With the way the Catholics deal with angels, that's kind of how a lot of the stuff that I kind of pick up, other traditions. And so my book, The Celestial Way, check that out. There's a link there. I think currently we had some technical problems at Amazon, but you can still get them either on Kindle or directly from the printer Lulu if it's not quite up on Amazon yet in paperback. This gives a lot more information about the sort of underlying worldview, philosophy, and then devotional practices. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some devotional practices. Like I said, we're going to talk about malas and nenjus and everything as kind of the end focus of this, but I want to kind of lead there. So one of the key devotional practices that I undertake and that I recommend to people, and there's a link there for my website that you can get the instructions as well as the invocations that I use. You don't have to use them, but if you don't know what to do, you can use them. It's fine. Is for my Daily Planetary Practice. Now, a version of this was described by Zoller in an unpublished book on Picatrix. And basically, the way I do it is that every day, because every day of the week is ruled by a particular planet. In fact, the week is astrological in origin. Then 7 planets, 7 days of the week. That's where it comes from. Each of those days of the week, Monday is the moon day, Sunday is the sun, Saturday is Saturday. I do an invocation of the planet. I just light a candle, light some incense, and have a short planetary invocation. And I've been doing that now for over 20 years. So this is one of the primary ways that I use to strengthen my relationship with the celestial angels. And that's what I recommend it for. I had someone recently ask me about remediation, and my response back to them was I said, I don't know what remediation is, but it's certainly not the what I've been doing it for. Again, like I said, I have a devotional practice, and I'm trying to increase that relationship with the planets. The remediation, again, I seem to get the idea that this is sort of like you can look at your natal chart and it's really easy to see what the cause of your problems are. It's because this planet's messing you up, and all you got to do is fix that, and then all your problems will go away. And it's really easy to fix that. You just do these remediation things, and that's an instant quick fix to all your problems. Now that's, I said like a little bit of a pejorative characterization of it, and there may be a deeper thing about it, but that seems to be the approach. And it's a very energetic approach. I mean, there's some bad energy or bad vibes, and you can block those, and like I said, somehow do that. This is not what the Daily Planetary Practice is all about. I said the Daily Planetary Practice is a devotional practice. It's not based on energy. It's not based on, trying to fix your chart or whatever. It is based on developing a stronger relationship with the celestial angels. So again, that's I said, there's nothing wrong with using it that way, but in terms of asking me about remediation, since I don't know what remediation is, that I wouldn't say you'd use it for that. But again, it's a devotional practice for people that are interested in a devotional approach. So then another devotional practice that I recommend is planetary charity. Now this, again, same deal. I mean, if the planet's afflicting your chart, what that's telling me is you don't have a good relationship with them as a person, okay? It's not that the energy is off and you're being zapped, by Saturn energy somehow, but rather that you have kind of, it's like if you think about, you have this cousin you always got along with really well, that would be a planet dignified in your chart. This uncle you're always on his bad side, he'd be afflicted. So it's like you have this sort of, inherent, preset bad relationship, and how can you work on that? And so, planetary charity is a good way to do that. Essentially, what you do, this comes from Vedic astrology, is that you make a vow to make multiple donations to people or things ruled by that planet, and then you go ahead and make the donations. And you don't make the vow and break it. I mean, that's not going to help you. It's like a friend. You're trying to make up with this friend. You're having a problem with the relationship, and you promise to come see them, and then you keep breaking your promise. I mean, that's not going to help you. I mean, maybe they won't be, attacking you or whatever, but it's certainly not helping repair the relationship, and that's the purpose of it. So planetary charity is the second devotional practice. And then a third practice that I've been doing is the daily fixed star practice. And so for fixed stars, what I'm doing is invoking the fixed star when it rises or culminates. That's the only thing I'm looking at in terms of that, because this is what I call a low intensity practice. All these are low intensity practices. People say, what about this factor? What about this or that or that? I'm like, if you're going to make a talisman, I do full chart election, okay? That's high intensity. You've got a lot of factors in there. It's very powerful. But you can only do those rarely, okay? If you're going to insist on having all these different factors in your daily planetary practice, you can never have the daily planetary practice. It would be your yearly planetary practice. Daily planetary practice, like I said, is only planetary day. You could do planetary hour if you wanted to, if you want to move that around. But for me, the easiest thing to do is just do it at a set time every day. And that day that's a very weak astrological election. However, if you're repeating it constantly, it becomes powerful through the repetition. Same thing with planetary charity. You're not even asking for anything other than to get along with them. This is a very low intensity practice. Anybody can do it. You don't have to worry about what the state of the planet is or how you get along with them, and it helps repair relationships. So those low intensity practices are very helpful, and they can, in the long run, be even more powerful. I mean, again, my daily planetary practice for 20 years, I think, is more powerful than any talisman ever could be, just with one election. So one of the variations I've done with the daily fixed star practice is the Blitz. Because the thing about the fixed star practice is you need to do enough astrology that you can see when a specific degree where that fixed star is rising or culminating. And if you can't do enough astrology to do that chart, work with the chart, you're not able to pick the timing. So what you can do is get me to do what's called a Blitz. So I was first doing these for Algol, but you can do it for any fixed star constellation. Basically what you do is you do the order, and then you pick the day to start, and then I give you elections for 7 days of daily practice, and then once a week for 3 weeks, and you pick a day for that. For this, you need to have all 24 hours of the day open. You can't say, oh, well, I have to work around my schedule. It's like, you got to adapt your schedule to the stars. You can't expect the stars to fit your schedule. This is a good way. As I said, it's a Blitz. It's very intense in terms of doing repetitions, and you're doing it every day. That shows a lot of devotion, so I think it has a powerful effect in terms of improving your relationship. So the final thing I'm going to talk about are what are called malas. In Hindu, japa mala, which is again it's called counting beads, or in Japanese, a juzu or nenju. So they have them in both Buddhism and in Hinduism. It's very much like a Catholic rosary. Basically, it's a tool for counting prayers or mantras originally. So let me just show you a couple examples. This is kind of a nice one. This is one I got from a temple called Murokoin, which is a temple on Koyasan, which is the headquarters of the Shingon sect. This is like a wrist Nenju, so you just kind of wear it on your wrist. It's a little more decorative, I would say. It's kind of like, but this is a cool one from this particular temple. Here's an example. This is sort of a classic wrist Nenju, and I think also this is Shingon Shu as well. These are kind of like a wooden beads, maybe like a rosewood or something like that. You can check those out, and that's how you kind of wear it. So each of the Buddhist schools or sects in Japan has its own specific type of Nenju. So let me just show you some of the Nenjus. The first one I'm going to show you, actually I should show you the box, since of course it's Japanese, so it's got this like, totally beautiful box. This one is for the Sotoshu Zen Buddhism, and you can see this is much larger. And what distinguishes the Sotoshu malas is this steel ring here. You can see that on this at the bottom here. This is really, again, really beautiful. got these seed beads on it, very, some marker beads, really beautiful. And then typically, I think you just kind of loop it on your hand, you kind of carry it like that. The other one I'm going to show you is from the other school I was initiated into. So, because I was initiated and practiced Soto Zen, this is a Shingon shoe. There's again different even sects in in the Shingon shoe, but this is a particular type of them. And these basically, I think you like loop them. Let me see if I can do this right. So you do a gasho, and then you kind of put them on like this. But basically, that's what you end up with. I mean, there's a very specific way of doing it, but that's how because they got the double. You can see they got this double thing here. So you kind of work like that. So again, really beautiful black beads. You got the crystal bead on there. And this is, like I said, it's got a double. So each of all sorts of different sort of variations. And in the Buddhism, they're not so much used, in Japanese Buddhism nowadays, they're not so much used as for the counting of mantras or anything, but it's a little more decorative. Like I said, each school has its own style, and if you know the styles, you can say, oh, this person's of that particular school. So if you're going to a temple, or you're going to a funeral or something, you would take your Nenju along with you. As just part of your gear that you would have along with you. But one of the things that's interesting about both the Japamala and the Nenjus is that by being used for the prayer and mantra counting and everything, they start to get their own spiritual significance themselves. So just like you would have a rosary blessed, it's not unusual to have a Nenju blessed. You can have essentially they become consecrated, they become spiritual objects and on their own and have spiritual powers. So it's kind of logical, for this to kind of be used for our devotional practice in astrological magic. And it's kind of cool. I have a student, Angela, of As Above Astrology. She's a really talented student, and she started making astrological malas. And so these are done using, various materials and beads and appropriate, kind of, coordinating with the planets, using the materials and stuff. And then also what she started doing was to time the consecration of making them. We actually put them together and do a consecration. So the focus of these is for spiritual connection to the celestial angels. So she was telling me about doing this, and I thought, that's really cool. I really want to get one for the White Algol, because there's various ways you can approach Algol. You can do it in a more aggressive protection way or a more shielding way. I do the White Algol for shielding. I thought, wow, it'd really be cool to have a White Algol mala, but to go with my talisman. So let me just show you what Angela did for me. Okay, so this is the box that it comes in, and then within the box, there's this really cool sort of silk pouch. You can see that, very cool. And then the mala itself, as you can see, it's appropriately it's white because it's the white Algol. And then see what they've done here is I said, what we could do with this is to put a Renaissance Astrology talisman then, because instead of having a main bead here, I forget what the name of it is, like a head bead or whatever it's called, they just put the talisman. So this is, you can see, is an bronze Algol talisman. And so, very cool. You can see there's some crystal. I had some additions here, these Swarovski crystal beads on it, and then it's got sort of like silver-colored spacing beads in between the white beads. So really beautiful. So here's what I do with it. I mean, basically, like I said, every day I'm doing an Algol consecration. So I'm trying to time it when Algol is rising or culminating. So then before I do that, what I do is I just put it on, right, like this. And then I'm doing a gasho, and then I light the candles and everything, and then I do an invocation to Algol at my fixed star altar. So very cool. Let me just stand up. You can see what it looks like there. Yeah. So very cool. And when I'm done, it's like very fast. I mean, this is only basically like a couple minute thing because I'm doing it every day. I'm not going to do something because if you do an elaborate ritual and try to do it every day, I think in the long run you're going to drive yourself crazy. So then I just put it back in the pouch, and then I just put the pouch back in the box. So there we go. So pretty cool. And I was just really pleased to be able to get this from Angela, and she's got all sorts of different possibilities in terms of what you could do. Essentially, you get a custom. You first get the Renaissance Astrology talisman, And then you can consult with Angela as far as, an appropriate mala for that. And there's a link there to her website. And so then she's, as I said, she's a student, so she's pretty knowledgeable, but she's also can consult with me about stuff if she has questions or wants to get, bounce things off of me. But like I said, I think it's very cool. Now, here's what I would say about this is that, as you can see, we're sort of drawing on these other traditions, but we're not doing it in a superficial way. We're not just because, I think that the mala looks really cool, but I also think that it's very much grounded in the astrological magic tradition in terms of the timing. I think the devotional practice, if you look at the Harani and Sabian invocations that people are using to make talismans from Picatrix, those were originally religious. So we're kind of just reverse engineering what we're seeing in Picatrix. And I think it's perfectly legitimate. Like I said, what you want to do at the beginning of learning something is to go deep. If you can get a teacher who's a master, follow their methodology, see what they're going to do, learn that deeply, and then once you've mastered it, then you can start synthesizing it. And I think one of the downfalls of the sort of New Age approach is synthesizing right from the get-go. There's never really getting any kind of deep knowledge of anything, never getting initiated in a tradition, and never even really getting practicing it on a deep level, just kind of pulling the surface stuff off of it. But I think this is a good example of how you can synthesize, you can take an individual approach, and you can look at other traditions and see that what they're doing and say, that fits to with what I'm doing. This is a devotional approach. I'm using a devotional approach. This is something that I can put into my own practice. And it's always amazing to me. I mean, people, students of mine or clients who've gotten talismans will send me pictures of their altars in particular, and I'm always blown away by how beautiful they are, how inspiring they are, and then how unique they are while still staying making sense within the tradition, and within the, the images and the colors and everything, and the candles or whatever that are appropriate for every particular planet or fixed star or whatever they're doing. So I think it's really kind of exciting because we are in reality, not just as a marketing thing, we really are using this ancient tradition. Yet it's something that can be used in a way that's very inspiring and individualistic for you. Each person's going to do something a little bit differently within the guidance of the overall tradition. So I thought it was very useful. I was excited and wanted to put it out there, what Angela was doing, and give everyone an opportunity to take a look at the work, follow that link, see if you want to get a mala for your talismans. If you're doing a devotional approach, I think it's a great addition for it. Very respectful to the spirits, showing your devotion. But I also just kind of want to share the fact that there is a devotional approach out there. If it's something that resonates for you, it's great. Again, if you look at this and say, no, I like my stuff I'm doing, I like my goetic practice or whatever, and that's great too. I mean, this is not better. It's just a question of preference. And it's just important, I think, to recognize that. And again, just because someone's not doing what you're doing doesn't mean what they're doing is bad. I mean, again, whether you're talking about devotional approach versus magical approach, you're talking about electional approach or something in astrology. I mean, the things, it seems a little odd to me that people would be using my basic structure in astrological magic, but saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. If I don't know what I'm talking about, then nobody should be doing astrological magic at all. So like I said, I never say anyone else's stuff is invalid. It's really, as cranky as I get about it, it's just a question of preference. So again, I think that respect and tolerance is really key, as well as, like I said, being willing to take, what I like to do is to take this deeper approach and take this devotional approach. So again, if it resonates for you, great. I hope you found that interesting. Check out those various devotional practices I mentioned, my books, The Celestial Way, and then also Angela of As Above Astrology's very cool Renaissance Astrology Mala page.